Call it.
Who's margaritas by the pool?
What was the rule in college?
Call to order, 6:32. Stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. On roll call, Mrs. Graves.
Here.
Dr. Lewis.
Here.
Mr. Stelzer.
Here.
Mr. York.
Here.
All right, I need a motion and a second. You've seen the letters from both Kelly and Rob. Motion and a second to excuse.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Graves.
Aye.
Dr. Lewis.
Aye.
Mr. Stelzer.
Aye.
Mr. York.
Aye.
All right, we'll excuse
Can we
them.
excuse Rob but not Kelly? No.
Everybody's excused.
I'm just trying to lighten it up.
All right, any questions regarding the minutes from the last meeting? 13th meeting. Everybody happy with the minutes? Mm-hmm. All right, a motion and a second, please, to accept the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Graves.
Aye.
Dr. Lewis.
Aye.
Mr. Stelzer.
Aye.
Mr. York.
Aye.
All right, we'll accept those minutes. All right. In communications, we have a couple things tonight. We have the August, September monthly report from Jordan. You all have probably seen that. It's kind of the end of the season report on that. We also have a letter from Jordan, her letter of resignation. I don't know whether you all have had a chance to read it or not. In there, she's going to be resigning. She will sort of finish out the closing of the pool and whatever activities through the end of the year. Which leads us on to the next discussion. I'm going to let Joe take this regarding, what the options for the pool are management-wise going forward. Clearly, Jordan is out now, and we're going to be faced with some type of different arrangement down there to manage the pool. Joe, you want to tell us what you've got so far?
Bill and I and Lauren had a conversation last week about what the two paths we might go on as far as options to manage the pool in the 2022 season. We can still try to manage the pool with an internal employee. The other option is there are management companies out there that we could engage that could manage the pool, or we could split the duties between internal employee and a management company, a lot of different options. But clearly we have to understand the dynamics with those two options. So about a month ago, Bill asked me to call a couple of the management companies, which I did, and I have some feel for what is entailed with the management companies, but there's a lot of questions that pop up. And what we need to figure out is, there's probably two deliverables from this process as we go through potentially the Health and Rec Committee. If we're going to do this internally, we need to develop a job duties and responsibilities, which we haven't had for years with the pool. So if we post for that job, we know what we're posting for. And then second of all, if we try to go the management company route, we have to put out a request for proposal, and we have to be pretty definitive on what exactly we're asking those management companies to do, whether it's to hire and manage the lifeguards, whether it's to manage the concession stand. There's a whole lot of questions that we have to know what we're going to put in that RFP before it goes out. So we got a little bit of work to do here. So the recommendation is that we put this in the Health and Rec Committee and get started on it. The Pool Commission talked about this last week, and the Pool Commission highly recommends that we go down these two paths to try to figure out, what the options might be and what that might look like under those two options. But clearly, the deliverable is that job posting. We're going to try to do it internally, which means we have to get it out and see who responds to it, and or a request for proposal to see, to give the management company something to give us their bid about what it would cost to provide those services. So,
Joe, is one of the other options too, were we going to also talk about possibly separating out the concession stand and bidding that out separately?
yeah, there's another management company that just does concession only, and so that's an option, but we can clearly define exactly what we want the management companies to, bid on, and so we just have to figure out what that is.
Yeah, okay.
So who has the expertise to get us through this?
Who has the expertise?
Yes.
An administrator would if we had one,
And
we don't have that, so.
He would be a pool manager.
But I
Can we have
mean,
Jordan, put together kind of her kind of list of broad, like job description kind of thing to help us out to start? Would she be willing to do that?
I don't know.
How long was
Joe, I thought you sent Bill a job description.
How long has
Please?
she been
I
employed?
thought you had sent Bill a job description or Jordan a job description.
I
didn't you?
gave
I mean,
Bill,
if she's employed through the end of the
Let's just
year,
be-
I mean, I
let's
think
be
that should
crystal
be
clear on this.
completely reasonable to do.
I gave Bill a job description, a potential job description and duties back in June, and we never heard anything more.
Well, we
So,
we have one.
no, we got one that I pulled off the internet.
have a loosely constructed.
So she needs to review it, add
She
it,
can
but you're
start with
saying you
that.
did that and she hasn't responded, so maybe a little bit.
What we have
review
talked
it.
about doing is doing this all part of committee work and not try to hash it out at full council. So, I mean, there's some things we need to do there, and there's some resources we can probably apply to it if those resources are willing to do it. But, bottom line is, it's going to take somebody to do some work here to ferret out, what the structure of this thing might be in the future.
All right, well, the starting place is going to be in the committee with the pool commission assisting, Jordan assisting. We'll pull in as many folks here as we can.
We can probably ask a couple people from the pool commission, and I think there's some others in the community that might help, so, as I look across the table here. So we can try to figure it out as we get into the committee.
All right, any other questions regarding the pool? Are we? I think it's a plan to move forward, for sure.
Well, again, I think the pool commission said we should have this done in 45 days. So we got a lot of work in a short period of time. Because we do not want to wait until March or April.
Oh, no.
And then find out, A, we may not have an internal candidate.
Yeah,
Or
that
B,
could be a
the
disaster.
management companies are off doing all their work for next year. And, the conversations I've had with the pool management committee, or companies, have been very good conversations. They had great ideas about what we could do with the pool, because they see it other places. They know what works, they know what doesn't work as far as capital improvements. So there's a great opportunity here. We just have to work it.
All right. Permission to address council.
Well, we're going to take a vote on putting it into,
I don't think we need a
Committee?
vote to put it in the committee. It's just,
we're good?
we're all good with it. It's
All
going
right,
in. Yeah.
good.
Hi, Council. I'm Mike Smythe, 3607 Flint Point Way. I just have a couple questions that maybe you can address for me. Has there been any communication regarding the RIF at Kellogg's that's been addressed to the community?
The RIF.
Reduction in force?
Oh, there, yeah. Well, yes. Joe and I, in fact, had a very good phone conversation with the plant manager and with their spokesman, who I originally thought was in Battle Creek, but it turns out she's in Washington, D.C. And we had I don't know, Joe, what was it, maybe 30, 45-minute conversation with the two of them, basically just explaining what, I hate to say this, essentially what we already knew. That essentially they're closing one of the 3 lines, one of the cookie lines that was a contract line to begin with. So they're gonna drop down to 2 lines. They'll be cracker lines. The workforce, which was originally about 550 people, is gonna be reduced to 300 people. So we're gonna be losing about 250 people, which, by the way, they've already lost about 100 to 125 people just through normal attrition because of the job market being what it is. People are leaving down there knowing their jobs are gonna go away anyway, so they're seeking other employment. So the future status of the plan is where it gets a little bit more murky. It was my understanding, essentially, that the plant is in competition with 2 other Kellogg plants. And they, believe it or not, they know, and Joe can back me up on this, they know to the pound what it costs to put a cracker out down there. And they are constantly comparing this to other plants. And, you know, like I said, they're sort of, you know, they described it as a competition. Now, what that means is there going to be a winner and a loser in the competition? Could that plant be a loser in that competition? Yes, I would think so.
Okay.
But a time frame or a time horizon on that, again, gets a little more murky there as well. You know, could it be, 1 to 3 years, maybe 5 years? You ask them a direct question like that, they will not give you a direct answer. So I can't answer it.
Okay, that's good. I don't know if council.
Let me just give a little more color to the
Sure.
situation. So basically, because there was a lot of questions going on about the now hiring sign that was up on the outside of the building.
Right, that was
That
my
was
next
just to
question.
fill the workforce until they would lose the line. And let me step back and do a little bit further than that, because this, the call made crystal clear a couple things in my mind. Number one, most of you heard about the sale of certain Kellogg's brands probably 2 or 3 years ago to a company called Ferrara out of Italy. Right. Okay, so they sold those brands, but they retained the contract to produce some of those brands out of the factory down here, and specifically it was the vanilla wafers that they were making out of the Fairfax facility or Mariemont facility. Ferrara decided earlier this year that they didn't want Kellogg's to produce that anymore. They're moving it to a completely independent food manufacturer. So that wasn't really Kellogg's decision. That was the person who they sold the brands off to. The Kellogg plant down there is not efficient, and we heard on the call that the cost to run that plant is about $15 million more than a comparable plant that Kellogg's has in other parts of the country, primarily the one down in Tennessee. I did a little bit of checking on that because I was like, well, that's a pretty big number to try to overcome.
Sure.
To try to,
Let me interrupt real fast, Joe. Did they say the reason why there's a $15 million spread?
primarily payroll.
Yeah, labor mainly.
And so basically, I did a little bit of checking, and you can kind of go out, and anybody else can do the same thing, and look at a comparable job for the Mariemont plant versus the Jackson, Tennessee plant, and the difference is probably 50 to 60% higher pay for the Mariemont plant than it is for Jackson, Tennessee. That's just the dynamics we're dealing with here.
Sure.
So Kellogg's has to make a decision, where are they going to produce the products that they still have down there in the future, and does it make sense for them to do it there or do it somewhere else? And that's the battle we have. The government relations person from Washington, D.C. for Kellogg said they had some conversations with the state of Ohio on some development money, and they said that really never went very far. But if you got to get over a $15 million a year annual cost difference, it's hard to find development dollars to come in and deal with that.
Sure.
So that's kind of where it stands right now. And again, we never heard exactly when they have to make that next decision about whether it could be, 18 months, 24 months, but that decision's coming. And as of right now, we don't stack up very well. That plant doesn't stack up very well against the other Kellogg's plants.
I'm with you. Thanks. Do we have a number on how much lost revenue that we're going to lose with the earnings tax?
We do have a number, and the number, there's sort of a variable number. It's anywhere from 180,000 to maybe 220,000 in earnings tax.
Okay, that's good. All right, next question I have for council is, have we discussed any type of tax increase for the village as far as earnings tax or property tax? Has it been discussed?
There's been no formal discussions of that, no.
And my last question I have for you is, who's in charge of economic development in the village as far as council?
Me.
Thanks. That's it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike. Dennis? No, you good? Bob, you good? All right. Everybody looked over the bills? Want to pay the bills?
Can I ask a question?
Sure you can.
So, and I wasn't here for this, when we assigned XPEC, the idea was the fees were gonna cover their monthly charges,
It's
right?
sort of a pass-through, yes.
So the $3,500, $3,300 for August.
Yes.
So is someone keeping track of all, of, you know, how much is it, are we there? Are we covering the costs?
There are two things going on. There was a stack of, when I came into that office, a stack of old inspections, which I would call COVID, things that slipped through a crack were handed to XPEC so we could close out building permits. They were open. So they've been doing a lot of inspections that should have been paid for from previous fees. Second thing is, I have asked XPEC for and they've given it to me, and I have not had time to take action, what their inspection cost would be for a typical project. I need to put that together along with what the cost of running that office are and talking about an upgraded fee schedule. And when I mean upgraded, it's gonna be a lot higher than our current fees. The idea that XPEC was gonna save us is my opinion. $40,000 is ridiculous. What we're doing, the only thing XPEC is doing, we are now billing the applicants that for building permits with plans, the plan review, which is probably 3 to 4 a month or something on that order. And they get billed for the time, and typically it's 1 hour, and it's 65 times 4, so it's like $260. So the additional income to the village for the XPEC arrangement is that number until we jack up the fees. I don't know if that answers.
Yeah, it does. And I know that you've got your hands full and you've been terrific
I've
and
been-
we appreciate everything you've done. You know, maybe unfair to expect you to do all that as well.
Well,
We certainly need to develop a process. for
Clearly,
this.
going forward, this has to be tweaked and you know, worked on. This is not a
we
fully
have the
functioning
information
model
now,
yet.
we didn't have-
Good. All right.
Yeah. Any other questions regarding the bills? Hearing none, do I have a motion and a second, please?
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Graves,
Aye.
Dr. Lewis,
Aye.
Mr. Stelzer,
Aye.
Mr. York.
Aye.
All right, let's pay some bills. We don't have any committee reports. And don't worry, we're going to do some combining here. Just give me a second here. Down in miscellaneous, couple of announcements. Beggars Night will be Sunday, October the 31st from 6 to 8. Sure hope the weather holds. Leaf season begins Monday, October the 25th, and that'll run through December 23rd. The building office will be closed October the 4th through the 8th. Someone's going on vacation. And I want to announce the Warrior Run. The Warrior Run's coming up here October the 2nd. That's this Saturday, I believe. And I believe it's going to start at 5:15. This is a really great event that takes place within the village. Very worthy, raises a lot of money. So we have that to look forward to.
Question, Bill, on the flying pig. Do you usually hear something from them about like routes or anything, is anything changing for this year? Do we know, or is it gonna?
I do believe it is. I do believe the route is going to change this year. In fact, we were having some discussion about that the other day when we were sort of standing over on the Murray Path. You know, if they're going to, run down the Murray Path and then run back another way, because, you don't want people running into one another. Do you know any more about that, Joe, about the route?
No,
No?
I can look it up, but typically what they do is they come down the, I guess it would be the north side of Murray, coming towards the square, and they go back on the south side. of
South side,
Murray.
but this year they may come down the pathway itself and then run back on the south side.
First I'm hearing about that.
Well,
so.
I mean, that was the discussion that we were having the other day when we were all standing over there. I mean, it'd be kind of cool, I mean, if we were to use the pathway for part of it, yeah, so.
Gotcha.
Is that on Halloween?
It is. Yeah, it goes by our house, but I'm wondering if it's something's going to change with that or not. I don't know. It's hard to
Yeah, it's,
plan.
to be honest with you, I don't have the exact route yet. It may be on the website, kind of a thing. They do seem to shift it around. I know it
We
is
should
gonna
probably
shift.
know because we're hoping the week of the 4th
Yeah, we
to
wanna-
do the grading, seeding, and landscaping. We finally got the water taps in after a lot of
Awesome.
problems trying to get Cincinnati Waterworks to give us the permit and get the contractor in. And we were talking about, okay, do we really want a bunch of people walking on the seating after putting it down? So do we try to control that in any way
Yeah.
possible? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's the first I'm hearing that they're thinking about using the path.
Yeah, well,
I mean, it's probably wide enough. I mean, it's 10 feet wide. It's not that much narrower than the street. And there wouldn't be any cars in the way, so.
and by the time the runners got that far, I mean, they would be more, kind of stretched out. It's not like, I don't think they're going to come through in a big mass.
They are, but they aren't, because you'll see groups come by. They do,
Kind of a group.
they try to get people that are trying to run a common time together. And you'll see packs of
Pacers.
20, 30 coming through at a time.
Yeah.
And so they're stretched out across the street when they're
Great.
doing that,
Yeah.
so. And, it's not only the front runners. It may be somebody who's trying to run a 3:30 marathon. There may be 20, 30 of them together, with the little person with the flag leading them along.
Yeah.
Trying to pace them during the process.
Sure.
So it's not, this is an odd marathon because it's more aimed at the non-elite runners. So they try to do a lot of stuff to, make it good for for everybody to try to get their best time possible. So you're going to see it throughout you've seen it come past your house. It goes for an
Yeah.
hour or two.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it goes for
Yeah, it
several
goes a while.
hours. Yeah. From the beginning to the stragglers at the end. So they've involved you in the conversation about the route?
No,
You
they
don't
have
know-
not.
Oh, they just,
Yeah.
okay. I was just curious.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, Chief Hines would have to know what's.
Yeah,
going on.
really.
Yeah, he'll know. I mean, like I said, it's just that I haven't heard, I don't have any definitive information on the route yet. I mean, it's, I'm sure that I will, and you'll be the second to know. All right. All right, Tony, work your magic, starting with the resolutions.
All right. To reappoint Louise Schomburg, Marcia Duval, and Joan Vago as members of the Parks Advisory Board for the calendar years of 2022 and 2023.
All right, that's the second reading. Any questions regarding those appointments? No, hearing none. All right, we'll have the third reading next time.
All right, to reappoint Eric Marsland as a member of the Parks Advisory Board for the calendar year of 2022.
Again, second reading. Any comments? Nope. All right, Tony?
All right, to reappoint Brian Kelly, Karen Burkich, Tom Gilmore, and Lauren Halad as members of the Pool Commission for the calendar years of 2022 and 2023.
Okay, again, second reading. Any comments?
No.
No? Okay, third reading will be next time. Tony?
To reappoint Mike Kittner and Brad Lockhart as members of the Architectural Review Board for the calendar years of 2022 and 2023.
Okay, again, second readings. Questions? Comments? Third reading next time.
All right, to reappoint Andrew Sager, Steve Spooner, Mark Glassmeyer, Jason Brown Knight, John Fakes, and John Morgan as members of the South 80 Trails, Gardens, and Parks Advisory Board for the calendar year 2022.
Okay, all second readings again. Comments? No comments? Okay, third reading next time.
All right, to reappoint Marcy Lewis and Mary Beth York as voting members of the Tree Advisory Board for the calendar year 2022.
Okay, again, second reading. Comments? Marcy, you have any comment about how the tree advisory board is going?
Well, we're going.
We're going?
No, we've done a lot of work. We've surveyed the village. We have trees in place and recommendations for District 6 for when trees are needed. Our biggest obstacle is going to be finding the money to do it.
Sure.
So, but it's a huge job, and we've just started, but I think we've accomplished a fair amount, because, you kind of have to first assess where you are.
Mm-hmm.
If I could interrupt, they've also been a huge help, as we've had people take down trees in advising citizens on appropriate trees for replacement.
Yeah. Oh. All right, third reading next time. Tony?
All right, to reappoint Marianne Prue, John Bentley, and Martin Kepke as non-voting members of the Tree Advisory Board for the calendar year 2022.
Okay, again, second reading. And any thoughts on that? No? Okay, third reading next time.
All right, we have 4 ordinances.
Four
First one,
ordinances.
to reappoint Anthony Borgening as Village Fiscal Officer for the calendar years 2022 and 2023.
Okay, second reading. Any comments on that? I think he's doing a fine job.
Do you have any comments on that?
No comments.
All right, third reading next time.
To reappoint Alyssa Wendler as Village Fiscal Administrative Assistant for the calendar years 2022 and 2023, and to set compensation.
Again, second reading. Any comments on Eli?
I think she's doing a great job.
She's very busy. She's very good. Okay, third reading next time.
All right, to confirm the reappointment of Alyssa Wendler as part-time IT Administrator for calendar years 2022 and 2023.
Again, second reading. Comments on that? She's been doing a lot of IT work in the building. Good work. All right, third reading next time.
All right, ordinance amending section 151.04 of the Mariemont Code of Ordinances regarding fence construction.
Yeah,
Oh, that
that's-
was tabled.
That's
sorry.
tabled. Yeah,
Tabled indefinitely.
yeah.
So I just pulled up the marathon map, and it's the same course as last year.
Same course as last year,
Yeah,
okay.
It's showing it's on both streets, whether they're going to try to switch to the path or not.
Yeah.
We'll just have to figure it out.
Yeah.
Thanks. I tried to find it and I couldn't find it.
Would you want to mention the cookout for the employees of the village on October 10th?
Yes, we're going to be having a cookout for all village employees to show our appreciation for them. It'll be on the front lawn of the building right here. There's signs up, talking about the date, the time.
It's October 10th, Sunday,
October
October 10th,
10th,
from 2
Sunday.
to 6.
Yeah.
And I guess the village is supplying meat,
Mm-hmm.
and people are asked to bring a nut-free side dish, I think,
I-
if you care to.
Yeah, for those who've got the allergies, either that or mark it that it's got, nuts in it.
Is information about that on the website, Allison?
There is, yeah, there'll be information on that on the website, yeah.
I don't remember if I put it on the front page or not. I'll
Oh.
double check.
Would you,
I
okay.
think we did. I
Okay.
think we did.
Get to work on that one.
Double check. I did get a call today from a resident that wanted to know if residents need to drop food off and leave, or if they're invited to stay. They're absolutely invited to stay.
Oh, they're invited to stay,
Yeah.
yeah, of course,
Yeah.
yeah, of course. And all council people are invited to attend. I would encourage it. All right, any other additional comments? I can't believe this. We are actually going to set a record in here tonight.
I can't tell. I'm not very good at maps.
All good.
We all good? Anything else? Marcy, Joe,
Joe said it was the same.
Randy,
I'm good.
am I good?
Good.
That's it, 7 o'clock.
Marcy, Avia, can I check schedules with you so we can try to get this committee meeting?
I'm free. Just, free this week, next week?